I, female 38, have recently received a not great medical diagnosis. I'm at peace with it, so I've sat down with my husband and figured out my will. Obviously, he will be receiving most of the estate. He has to take care of himself and our kids. He and I both have decent, if not spectacular, careers, and he likes his work. My oldest brother is a gigantic loser. He's an addict, and my parents have wasted their lives trying to help him. They spent so much of their time and money on him that they had very little time for my sister or me. I don't hold this against them. I love my kids, and I can understand the urge to help them with their problems. The real issue is that my brother has abandoned my nieces with my parents. I tried to get custody of them, but I'm not a member of their church, and my parents cut me off when I left home to get a college education instead of staying home and helping them as a good daughter should. Their congregation helped them hire a lawyer to keep the girls away from me, but strangely enough, after the girls were out of my reach, they stopped getting any financial support. So in my will, I'm leaving my nieces money. Not for them to spend however they want, it's only to go to pay for their post-secondary education. If it isn't used for that by the time they're 25, it will be donated to a charity that my parents hate. It advocates for women and reproductive rights. I sent my parents a copy of my will so they knew what was coming. They're the kind of people who would take out a loan, counting on money from my death to bail them out. They're calling me an idiot for not giving them the money to take care of my nieces. They're complaining because they're going into debt to take care of the girls. I offered again to take custody with my husband. If I can have them for 2 years, I know I can get them on a path away from that church. My parents won't relent and say they will challenge my will if I leave it like this. Good luck. My lawyer is confident that I've protected the money. I just heard from my brother. He calls me an idiot for depriving his kids of help and forcing my parents into a crappy position. I asked him when he last sent them money to help with his kids. He yelled obscenities and hung up. My husband supports my decision, but many of my family is calling me and asking me to help my parents with no strings attached. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It's your money. Your parents cut you off for going to college. They should expect nothing from you. If your nieces are old enough to understand, I would also tell them about the money and stipulations because I could see your parents not telling them about it to keep them home near their culty church. Agree. Make sure people remind them later as well. Let's get it so they are notified around the end of high school. I'm sorry to hear about your prognosis. It's a terrible situation, but you could not be handling it any better. You sound like you've done your research and you've got things covered, so feel free to disregard this advice. You might want to give them a minimum amount so they won't be able to contest the will. I just heard from my brother. He's calling me an idiot for depriving his kids. Yeah, nope. My response to that would have been, pot, kettle, bye. Ironic of your brother to call you an idiot. What's he contributing toward raising his own children? I'm very proud of what you're doing for your nieces. Unfortunately, your parents are the worst kind of people ever. What kind of parents care only about money and not the fact that their child is sick? Because they want the money for themselves, not the kids. OP, good for you for everything you've done to prepare your nieces for their future and the charitable donation if they don't use it. It was also good to forewarn them so they didn't take out a loan. Bless you and your family. Stay strong. We had this dog many years ago, which was technically a family dog, but my son was the most attached to it, so we let it become his dog. Unfortunately, she passed away when my son was a very young teen, and he kept her collar with him. My son moved out when he went to uni and left some stuff in his room and downstairs in the basement in unmarked boxes. I explicitly told him when he left to make sure he marked all his boxes, but lo and behold, some boxes were unmarked. Months ago, I wanted to clean out the basement, so I took some boxes of old stuff there and put them outside to be tossed and given away. There were a lot of old toys, so I let the neighborhood kids rummage around and take whatever they wanted. I recall the kid finding a collar in the boxes and taking it because he was going to get a puppy for his birthday. My son was over for Thanksgiving and wanted to play the ukulele after eating, but couldn't find it downstairs. It was also in an unmarked box and supposedly subsequently taken. I told him months ago I was clearing the basement, and most unmarked boxes and their contents were tossed or given away. So he went back downstairs and came back screaming and cursing, asking where the box with the collar was. I told him that I remembered them taking a collar, but since we've had 3 dogs as a family, I didn't think to check which collar it was, but if he couldn't find it, then it was gone. He completely lost his marbles and yelled at me for giving away his things without talking to him. I reminded him I told him to mark his stuff so I knew what to leave alone and what I could give away. He refused to listen and demanded I get it back, which I obviously refused to do because it was late and it's been months. I see how I could be wrong because it was his and sentimental, but then again I warned him about unmarked boxes. Am I the idiot? A reasonable person would have given their son they presumably love a call before they tossed out his belongings, but I see you elected to teach him a lesson instead. I sure hope there were some world's #1 parent coffee mugs in the boxes you chucked, because they surely don't belong in your house. You are the idiot. Holy cow, I'd be absolutely horrified if my family threw away my things while I was at school, unmarked or not. Couldn't you wait until he was at home on holiday and have him sort through one box at a time? Or text him? Do these parents not have phones? How hard is it to text him, "Hey son, I have these boxes here and some of it looks like the stuff you might want to keep. Want to look through it before I finish cleaning out the basement?" Or take a photo of the box and ask, "Is it okay to put curbside?" Or just place the boxes, I don't know, in his bedroom? That's assuming he still has a bedroom in her house. I could be mistaken, but I totally get the vibe that OP is the type to immediately convert her kid's bedroom into like an office or something the minute he went off to school. That's probably why all of his stuff had to be packed away in boxes in the first place. A lot of 18-year-old boys would need more maturity and organisational skills to carefully put their things away in labelled boxes right before leaving for college. My son still has some items stored in our basement. If I needed the room, I'd invite him over and offer to help him clean out his things because I'm a parent and not a bully. You weren't parenting your son, spending time with him or teaching him skills. You carelessly threw away these things, let the neighbourhood kids rummage through things that may have been private, and let someone take the dog collar of your son's beloved pet. He'll remember this forever. I'm honestly shocked you don't feel horrible about this. My brother John dated Kiara for 10 years and they broke up 4 years ago because my brother didn't want to leave my city and Kiara got a great job opportunity outside the country. He made her choose between the job and him, so she moved to another country. Kiara and I became best friends when she dated my brother, and we maintained our friendship even after the breakup. My brother always said he didn't like it, but I didn't care. He's been dating Pam for 3 years. She's 6 months pregnant and engaged to him. Kiara is also dating a great guy. The situation. This year, the construction of my house was finally done and it has a large leisure area and swimming pool, great for parties. Because of that, I decided to throw a party at home and my parents and brothers agreed to come. In all, there'll be about 30 guests, friends and family at the party, including Kiara, who is spending the end of the year here, and I invited her. As usual for my parties, I set up a message group with the invited adults to discuss the menu and who was bringing what. In the group chat were also Kiara, Pam and John. John called me asking if Kiara was in that group, and when I confirmed it, he started saying that it would be weird to have his ex at the party and that it would be better if she didn't go so as not to make the situation difficult. So I asked Kiara if she felt okay with them at the party and she said, yes, why not? So I just replied, I want her there, so she stays. This caused a stir and even Pam called me saying that it would be too awkward for Kiara to go and that she wouldn't want to go through more stress while pregnant, basically begging me to uninvite Kiara. I was already fed up and replied, look, grow up. The relationship ended years ago and she is my best friend, who unfortunately is John's ex, but it's my party and I won't stop inviting my friends because you don't want to. If you don't want to go, that's fine. I won't be upset. Feel free. It didn't help the situation much because now they're accusing me of choosing to create an awkward situation instead of having peaceful family time. My parents asked me to give up the idea of having peace that day, but no one offered the house for this event. I understand being an ex and being annoyed, but it's still my party, and Kiara came to the country to see friends. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. I get it, it's your house and you can invite whoever you want, but why won't you just give your brother the heads up or ask how he feels about it? I guess that you aren't very close to your brother. As for Kiara, she isn't visiting to come to your party. You could see her another time. But that ship has sailed. You've already invited everyone and you shouldn't have to uninvite your friend for your brother. So you suck for pushing your bro to be around his ex with his new partner, that's super awkward, and he told you it was awkward in the past. And he sucks because he shouldn't go instead of trying to get you to uninvite someone. Not the idiot. Your house, your guest list. And it's not unreasonable to expect everyone to adult up and adjust to the new order. Why is your brother still getting the collywobbles at the mere mention of Kiara? Grow up, dude. You're married and you have a baby on the way. Kiara isn't holding you hostage to the past. You are. He's afraid Pam and Kiara are going to compare notes. He made her choose between the job and him is, I guess, probably technically true, but a very, very strange way to phrase things. Most people would not be willing to move to another country for their girl or boyfriend's, not even spouse's, job. I guess there's more to the story. I love to play seamstress as a hobby. I also love to shop at thrift shops. My best friend has this certain tartan pattern that she absolutely loves, and I found a near-perfect replica of it at a thrift store. I was so excited, and to me it didn't matter what size it was, I can tailor it to fit my friend. I'm not trying to be insulting, but I've never seen a dress this size before, and I had to do some serious modifications. To be honest, the dress was more for fabric than a particular design. I gave it to my friend as an early Christmas present, and she absolutely loved it. It made me happy that it made her so happy. I also left her the scraps and leftovers with the instructions that if she ever saw another piece of clothing that I could use it for, please let me know. I guess her sister went digging through the scraps and found the original dress size on the tag. I've known both she and her sister since we were all kids, and although I'm best friends with the younger sister, I've never quite seen eye to eye with the older sister. Please keep that in mind while reading the text she sent me. It's cut and paste as I got it. We have been best friends since we're kids, and you know how hard it is for me to find clothes. What you did with that dress is a horrible thing to do to me and to other plus-size women who struggle to find pretty dresses in good condition that we can wear. You found one of them and ripped it to shreds to give it to her when she can buy her garbage at Forever 21 whenever she wants. I killed for that dress. It would have changed my holidays to have a good go-to in that pattern that I could have worn repeatedly, and now I have to stress all over again this year. Me and all other plus-size women who would have loved that dress. Why not just give it to me? What is wrong with you? I had no idea this was even a thing. I was trying to do a nice thing for my friend, but her sister didn't even enter my brain until I got that text. My friend says I have nothing to worry about, but the text really bothers me. I'm trying to understand why. Was I the idiot? Not the idiot. As a plus-size baddie myself, I have no problem finding clothes. There was a time when anything over a size 10 was only muumuus and sweatshirts, but there are literally several companies geared towards us curvier women. Your friend's sister is lashing out because of her own insecurities. Ignore her, as your friend said. You did nothing wrong. There's nothing inherently wrong with an individual buying a large size garment cheaply at a thrift store as materials for a smaller size garment project. The problem occurs when a lot of people decide to do that and cause a considerable impact on an already extremely limited, yet essential resource for a specific group of people. You're not the idiot, but neither is your friend's sister for trying to educate you about that etiquette when she realizes you may not know it. Again, I don't think you meant any harm. Still, you should probably at least know why this is being considered part of thrifting etiquette, because otherwise, you may find yourself unknowingly contributing to some essential resource scarcity that can have a really emotionally and materially devastating impact on more people than you think. She's not trying to educate OP, she's berating OP because she didn't get the dress, and also she snooped around to discover the dress was plus-sized. She used her own internalized hurt and insecurity to scold, shame, and guilt-trip someone who owed her nothing. There are a million ways to express valid emotions. Her choice of actions makes her 100% an idiot, in my opinion. My parents were married and had me. Then my mom cheated on my dad while I was still a baby and got pregnant with another man's child. My dad filed for divorce and established through the courts that he was not my half-sister's father and fought not to have parental responsibility for her. However, my dad did get shared custody of me and didn't have to pay child support because of shared custody. My half-sister's bio-father was unknown, and while Mom did try to find him, she was unsuccessful. My mom went on to have 4 more kids with 4 different guys. My dad continued to take care of me, but never took them on. When Dad knew Mom was struggling, he would make sure I was taken care of at her house since CPS and the courts didn't believe things were bad enough for me to live with him primarily, so I was always better taken care of than my siblings. My half-siblings all hate my dad, and I believe a large part of that is due to Mom telling them stuff through the years. When I was about 13, Mom tried to poison me against Dad by telling me how Dad let them suffer, how he fought to reject my half-sister, and how he was often mean to her about them when she would talk to him. But it didn't change how I felt about my dad. When I was 16, I decided to live with him. I just turned 20 and my half-sister is 18. She came after me to argue and to have it out over my dad. She accused me of being an idiot for not being mad at Dad. She then went on to tell me a story about our mom struggling to afford diapers and how Dad made sure to send diapers that were just in my size instead of money so Mom could buy them for both of us, and how he even saw her out with us once and bought stuff that could be just used on me when she was right there. I told her I didn't see what my dad did wrong because he was never her dad. She said he could have been, but he rejected her in court. I told her again that to me, Dad did nothing wrong. She called me an idiot, said as her older brother I should be furious that he would be okay with her and the rest of our siblings going hungry, not having the right care, and that he could have stepped up but chose not to, which should make me hate him. She said the fact I could look her in the eye and say he did nothing wrong made me just as bad as him. Am I the idiot? Absolutely not the idiot. Their anger is directed at your dad because they saw him providing for you. He is not obligated to spend a dime on your half-siblings. Where are their dads? That's where their anger needs to be directed. No. Bio-dads are skipping in the wind because a woman had 6 children and never figured out how to use any form of birth control or self-restraint. That same woman has spent all those kids' lives blaming anyone else for her poor economic status and life choices. It's all those kids know. Mom is the true villain in this situation on so many levels. Any anger should be directed toward her. Unfortunately, your sister has been poisoned against your dad by your mom. Your half-siblings aren't his children. Your resistance to your mother's attempts to alienate you from your father is a strength you should hold on to. I don't blame your siblings for clinging to your mother's fantasy because children need such denial of reality to survive, and all they have is your mother. They may grow out of it as adults, they may not.